You're back in business with me, Harsha Subramaniam. Well, the clear mandate for the BJP has raised hopes for the renewable energy sector. Expectations are running quite high that the Modi administration could replicate the power industry reforms accomplished in the state of Gujarat. Tulsi Tanti, Chairman Managing Director of Suzlon, now joins us on this conversation. Mr. Tanti, pleasure having you on the show. Let me begin by asking you, the new government comes with a clear mandate, a strong, stable government. There are huge expectations from the government. What to your mind are the 2 or 3 quick things that this government can do to create an environment conducive for reforms?
I think specifically for the power sector I feel it's a high priority because of we are in that segment. And the energy for all, and the most important, affordable energy to all. I think that is the topmost priority I can propose to bring in our country. 350 million population doesn't have access of energy, and 30,000 megawatt is grid deficit is there. And if you want to really drive the growth momentum in our country, without energy it's not achievable. So that should be the highest priority, affordable energy to all.
Mr. Tanti, Gujarat has been in a sense leading the way in power sector reforms. I understand there are separate transmission lines even for wind farms and so on. Are you expecting something specific to be announced by the government? Do you see greater thrust on clean energy?
I think India has a 300,000 megawatt the potentiality of the sites in our country for the wind energy projects. Out of just 20,000 megawatt we have built in the last 25 years. We have to set the target, the 5 years target currently is 15,000 megawatt. It has to be double, straight away 30,000 megawatt, which is possible to deliver. And the cost of energy from wind energy is extremely competitive compared to conventional energy, coal and gas. Why not we harness as much as possible from our country to mitigate the certain import risk of the fuels? That will be the biggest, the benefit is there. And within the renewable sectors, the most important 2-3 things are important to bring the policy frameworks. The number one priority is accelerated depreciations for the SME industry, so they can hedge the power cost and they can do the captive energy requirement. So that is the most important. And to build the transmission infrastructures in the ahead of the projects, because that is the biggest bottleneck in the most of the state is there. So we have to invest in the grid infrastructure, means the transmission highways to be established. And simultaneously, the financing is the big challenge for such a large capex. Sure. Because if we are targeting 30,000 in the next 5 years, the 200,000 crores investment is to attract. It's required interest cost also the important in this segment. Sure. Currently, the national clean funds are available. Out of that, 2% interest benefits are available. Right. It has to be enhanced to the 5%. Yeah. So the renewable energy can get the 7% cost of fund, which will accelerate the investment very, very aggressively. Sure. So these are the 2-3 points are extremely important. If central government will bring in the national level, it will help to unlock the renewable energy, the segment.
Mr. Tanti, the case for clean energy is fairly well known and well documented. But if you look at the past couple of years, wind installations have been fairly disappointing. In the budget, are you anticipating any specific measures, perhaps to encourage investments in this area?
I think the investment has not come because of the policy framework was not enough national level and state level, because it's a more the state affairs for the investment in a renewable is there. Is the proper pricing so that we can able to attract the lots of investment. The second is the project executions. Some of the states is taking the concept to commissioning 6 months, and some of the states is taking 2 years. So this is the wider execution challenge is there. If we can able to address by central and state to align, and I think this time is a good part is that most of the state government is also the national government BJP is there, sure, which may bring this execution capability very, very strongly. Sure. And that execution will solve to attract the investment in the country. The second is most important is today the project financing from our banks are providing only for the 12 years. Right. It has to be 20 to 25 years. And we are also recommending for the RBI to relook in this area, because most of the part of the world, it is the 20-25% finance is available. Right. Why we are giving just 12%? which is creating a huge pressure on cash flow, and that is not giving a sufficient headrooms to invest in a project. Second is the debt equity ratio is also 75, 25 is there. It has to be reduced 15%, 85%.
Sure.
That will give the boost to the investment in the renewable energy sectors.
Sure.
Because last 2 years, it's a very bad performance is there.
Right.
We have to go aggressively and to invest in a renewable asset as much as possible.
I take your point, Mr. Tanti. You now have one man in charge, one minister for renewable, coal, power and so on. What kind of impact do you think that's going to have in the pace of decision making?
I think it is an extremely wise decision is there, because earlier the renewable energy, the portfolio was the separate than the energy, and the same is the resources like a coal was the separate. By integrating all three ministry, I think an extremely wise decision by the government. It will bring the lots of synergy. Not only that, it will become a more aggressive decision making process for the infrastructure investment, whether it is for renewable, whether it is coal, whether it is gas, because it should be a required integrated, inclusive infrastructure planning. It is a commonly used. And by that way, it is a good thing is there. The energy architects of our country can be established very well and balanced and sustainable way. Otherwise, it cannot be built in a right forum. So it is a good move by the government, bringing under one umbrella, and I am very much happy by these initiatives.
I have a question on Suzlon, Mr. Tanti. I understand that your bondholders are meeting on the 7th of July. Is there a risk that they might vote against your extension of bonds?
I don't see, because the sector is doing very well compared to the last 2 years. Negative growth was there, and the current financial and onward next 3 to 5 years, the whole renewable energy sector globally and domestically in a positive growth. So it is a good value propositions for them also. So I don't see that type of any risk. And very honestly, the bondholder is very cooperative and supporting. It took too much time, but finally they have given a good mandate to us to extend the 5 years. And their cooperation is very well is there. And they will also get the very good value benefit out of the growth of the company.
So I have one final question. There is buzz in the market of you perhaps looking to dilute or possibly talking to other business groups. Is there any credence to this theory?
Honestly, it's very difficult for me to address, because on the 30th May, our board meeting is there. Maybe after the board meeting, I will able to give you the more concrete strategic plan after the discussion with the board.
Sure. We will definitely connect with you after the 30th, Mr. Tanti. Many thanks indeed for joining us with your perspective. That was
I appreciate. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Tulsi Tanti from Suzlon, talking about the sector and specifically about his company as well. Remember, there's quite a bit of developments, important developments as far as Suzlon is concerned, as far as the bondholders are concerned in the month of July. The board meeting, as he says, is on the 30th. But